Let's do it.
Conference, I got you. NFL Conference Championship, Conference Sunday. We start with the game that kicked it off, the battle of two goats, Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Green Bay and defeat the Packers 31-26. Brady was stellar. Huh?
Two goats? Sorry, keep going.
Brady in the first half was spectacular. 3 tutties, one to Scotty Miller before the half, just psycho Tom at his best. But the second half, Brady diminished in his quality of play, but that defense, Sean Murphy, Burton, Butling, ooh, probably messed his name up. Carlton Davis, Todd Bowles dialing up pressure with Shaq Barrett, JPP, Devin White, them boys ball and make Green Bay go home. So, Demond, you got a lot to say on social media in our pack check, bud, but recap the game for us and tell us why Rodgers should not be getting all these excuses made.
So I just want to give a salute to Tampa and their offense based off the first half they had. Came out in Lambeau, fans back in the stadium, came out and have a wonderful first drive. Tom Brady was 3 for 3 on third down, had the third down touchdown to Mike Evans, as well as had a 25-yard uh, throw and catch early on that drive. So they came out firing, and then they just were able to continue to make big plays in the first half. You think about the 50-yard bomb to Godwin, and then of course there's the play with Scotty Miller right before half, 11 seconds, and I just love to see that aggressiveness type style because I felt like that's what hindered them. Of course, last year in New England, not having those weapons, and Brady wasn't able to be his best. We saw him at his best in the first half. As far as the second half, they can't afford to perform like that in the Super Bowl. 3 turnovers against Mahomes and them, they will capitalize. That defense will live off those turnovers. And at the end of the day, I just felt it came down to the Packers not making enough plays. Of course, they had a rough first half on defense, but at the end of the day, they got 3 chances in the second half, 3 interceptions to go ahead and make the game theirs, and they didn't. And everyone wants to blame Matt LaFleur for taking the field goal at the end of the game and saying, "Oh, we're going to need a touchdown anyways." No, I'm sorry, I can't. There's endless third downs where Aaron Rodgers was not at his best in the red zone. Him and Devontae Adams are usually on the same page. You know how I feel about Devontae Adams as the best receiver in football, but it just wasn't there. Their connection. They ended up scoring later, but 1 for 7 in the red zone. I mean, come on, man. When throwing to Adams, you got to be better. But hats off to that Bucks defense, man. They frustrated Rodgers, and it's for the MVP. It was more frustrating for him than I had seen him all year. So it was just a big step in the right direction for that defense. But for the Packers, I mean, can't keep making excuses, man. Can't keep making excuses. Aaron Rodgers is now 1-5 in NFC Championship games. There was all this buzz coming into town about how he was going to perform against Brady. He had never played a game, NFC Championship in Lambeau, yada, yada, yada. They didn't come through. Hold him accountable. He comes out in the presser and he's throwing his coach under the bus, and then he's saying, I'm not really sure. You're not even looking at the camera. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. A lot of guys' future here uncertain. I get they drafted a quarterback, but you dedicated your whole season to making sure that you guys were in for a championship. And then as soon as that's over, oh, well, I'm not really sure. No, you're sure. You know, you want to be in Green Bay. And my approach would be to add another defensive piece that propels them to making an extra play or two against the Tom Brady, against the Russell Wilson, against maybe coming to conference Deshaun Watson. I don't know. But this is the NFC. You got to continue to get better, add playmakers. We've seen Jair is one of the best, is one of the best corners in the league already. Still have Kenny Clark, Zadarius Smith. I just feel like they're a piece away on defense, and they'll be right back in the thick of things, contesting for their third straight NFC Championship game.
Kirk Carter, before we talk about Rodgers after the game and a potential trade, perhaps, what was your takeaways from this game? You saw playoff Lenny go stupid. Playoff Lenny.
Takeaways from the game. The defense is playing at a great level, so that's a major, a good look for Ty Bowles. I did pick against the Bucks, but I wasn't surprised after the 3 turnovers and no scores. You can't do that. When the Bucks beat the Saints, they got turnovers and they scored. That's kind of what the point of getting the turnover is. I feel like the Packers got a little lax in their approach. It was like they weren't. It was like they was forcing throws. I feel like I know Aaron Jones. You know the Bucks front four was looking good with Vita Vea back, but I feel like they should have tried to run the ball more. It was like they was leaving it in Rodgers' hands, which I get because that's your best player. But Devontae Adams was in the red zone, targeted 3 times on one drive, and didn't get a single catch. It's like sometimes you got to switch it up and go against the grain. And I think they were sticking to their guns a little too much. Brady really didn't play great to me in the second half. The first half he looked good. The second half he looked terrible. And also in the first half, I feel like they just had one goal in mind, and that was to target Kevin King. And it wasn't a bad strategy. And I think Kevin King don't deserve all the blame. I think some of that play calling on defense was bad as well because 6 seconds left in the half and you're pressing. Why? And then you're pressing the fastest person on the team. Like Scotty Miller might be the fastest person on the Bucks team, and you're pressing them. So, it was just questionable and bad decisions. And that's the same thing that Greg Williams got fired from the Jets from when they lost their game they should have won earlier in the season. So, hats off to the Bucks, but you know how I feel about them. So I don't want to get too personal.
I said coming into the postseason, and I said it when they played the Saints last week. I said if they can get the run game going, they're a hard team to beat. And with Leonard Fournette, he's been a bell cow in this postseason, similar to this in 2017 was with the Jaguars. He's just been going just stupid every chance he get. It was remnants of LSU Leonard when he did that spin move and carried them boys and got into the end zone. So playoff Lenny is real. I don't know what Jacksonville thought was going on. Maybe they didn't want to pay him. Maybe they thought they saw something in James Robinson. But Leonard Fournette is that deal. And also, like I said, that defense, man, like Cut said, just stellar all the way. You franchise tag Shaq Barrett because you know he's an elite pass rusher. You got a great secondary, albeit they do get away a little holding penalties and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's football, and they don't call this, whatever. And they did it without their rookie from Minnesota, Antonio Winfield, right?
Antoine
Winfield, right?
Jr.
And Junior. So hats off to them going into Green Bay, hostile territory, and Brady, man, just LeBron-esque. People said LeBron could have won in the West. What LeBron do? Go to the finals and win in the West. People said NFC hard in the AFC, man. Brady was like, you know what? First season, something slight. Go to the Super Bowl. Well, I'm not gonna get my prediction. I'm gonna wait till next week for my prediction. Give it a week off for the marinade through my system. But before we get off of this game, there was rumors like Damon alluded to that Rodgers was saying he don't know if he's uncertain about his future. We know they drafted Jordan Love. He has 3 years left on his deal, but really almost 1 more year of extra security because next season there's a chance they can trade him and get value back. What should you do if you're Green Bay? Damon said they need to go out and get a defensive player, but their defense was top 10. Their defense was top 10. Like what? Like
I still feel like
what?
I'm sure Rodgers likes MVS and Equanimous St. Brown and
Lazard and Tanya.
Lazard. And I mean Tanyan's solidified. Tanyan's gonna be their tight end probably for the next 5 years. He's probably gonna be locked in soon.
Tell me how they could get over this conference championship. This wall. First San Fran, now Tampa Bay. It's like they always hit this wall every year.
You know why? Because you said because of San Fran and Tampa Bay, you're naming the 2 best divisions in the NFC, and that seems like the 2 that's gonna keep representing every year. It's gonna always be them 2. Somebody from either 2, apparently. And and at this point, our team the 2 next in line. So it's one of us. It's one of our turn.
I would say I think people very much underestimated the value of Tom Brady and what he brings to a team and his experience, especially just what he does on third down and what he's able to do late in football games, late in first half situations. I mean, in both of these situations, Tampa against the Saints and against the Packers were able to get a takeaway before a half and put points on the board. Against the Saints, the field goal, and of course against the Packers, the big Scotty Miller touchdown. And if it wasn't for Godwin having to reach out, that could have been a touchdown versus the Saints. Stuff like that is valuable, very valuable in playoff games. And Tom Brady has brought that to the Patriots. Just seeing for the Packers, I mean, of course, them losing an NFC Championship, they could use the old Falcons excuse. We lost to who went to the Super Bowl. But to me, it's just they really matched up well with the Packers, with the Bucks, excuse me. I just feel like they didn't make enough plays down the stretch. With the 49ers, I just felt like that was not a good matchup. So for me next year, I'm gonna give the Packers a chance if they play in at Lambeau, no matter who they're up against. But they have to, like I said, they have to get another defensive piece, just somebody, a big name who's gonna come in and make a play when you need a play made. There was some chatter a few years back about them on the phone about acquiring Khalil Mack and then not wanting to come off something, and the Bears were able to do it, and now you have to play that guy twice a year. I just think stuff like that is very telling. We look at Green Bay as a team who's never really made a big free agency splash either, so they're gonna have to go a little bit out their comfort zone. And I mean, if I'm Rodgers, that's the biggest thing I'm looking for. What are we doing to try to get over that hump? Are we gonna go out and get Will Fuller, who guys say we should have traded for, or Chris Godwin, Galladay from the Lions? A lot of guys in a loaded free agency class. Will we go out and get one of those? Will we draft another quarterback in the first round or another running back?
Do you think they'll retain Aaron Jones?
I definitely think they should retain Aaron Jones. I think
although they got Jamal Williams and AJ Dillon.
Aaron Jones, to me,
I don't think you let him walk.
Yeah, to me, he's one of the best backs in the league. You're talking about big playability. You're talking about receiving ability. You're just talking about somebody who Rodgers trusts already. It's going to be a lot to have to, go to Jamal Williams. I like Jamal Williams. I like that he comes in, breaks tackles, gets a good 10-yard run. I like that, but I don't see him being the difference maker that Aaron Jones is. But I do like Dillon. If they were to go in that, I'm the type of person, I don't like a committee approach and don't go away from what's working. So I think Aaron Jones is a true number one, and I would like to see him remain in Green Bay.
So we're not giving any energy to Rodgers trade rumors this offseason.
No, he's under contract for 3 more years. I don't have any.
I think the NFL turned into the NBA because Deshaun Watson under contract and he's still requesting a trade.
Well, Deshaun Watson didn't win the Super Bowl with Green Bay and doesn't. I just don't see that. And my biggest thing,
I see that situation differently, Cut.
Right. It's just to me, I look at Aaron Rodgers, and his situation is very telling here between the type of player he is and the type of player Brett Favre was. And I'm not the biggest Brett Favre fan in the world, but they drafted Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre already knew what it was and continued to play his game. That's what Aaron Rodgers has to be. And then when your 3 years are up and you still, because it's gonna come to that point where they feel like, hey, all right, it's Jordan's time. That's when Aaron leaves. But there's no situation better for him right now. I'm sorry. I mean, you have the best receiver in football, a Pro Bowl running back, arguably the best line and left tackle in football, a great coach. And some who may argue that the guy has won 13 games in his first 2 years each, been to the NFC Championship in his first 2 years each, won the division each year. I mean, no excuses, A-Rod. You're the MVP. Come out, be the reigning MVP, and get over the hump.